Over 104,000 sockeye salmon have entered the river systems and are now traveling up dam after dam after dam after dam to reach one of their final destinations, one of their final hangout spots before they travel up the Okanagan River to spawn once that river's temperature becomes absolutely perfect. That place is called Brewster Pool. Welcome back to another Walking on Water tutorial. In this tutorial today, we are going to talk about absolutely everything you need to know to be successful in catching Brewster Pool Sockeye salmon before you go out and plan your trip. Let's get right into it. All right, guys, absolutely first things first, we're just gonna go over the rod setup, and this is one of the best and most simplistic rod setups that you can actually use, and it's going to be very similar to your spring Chinook fishery type setup. And when it comes to Brewster Pool, there is going to be a ton of boats on the water. If you are looking to solo fish for sockeye salmon, I would suggest traveling down the Columbia a long ways and going plunking for them, which we are not actually going to cover in this video, but it is a long string of lines, 3 different setups on a line with the weight at the end, and you will be using spin glows and coon shrimp. It's a very effective way to target these fish from the bank. You simply set up your gear, get on a kayak, travel out into the water, and there you drop your gear and you're fishing, baby. That's exactly how you go down there and go plunking. But Brewster Pool Sockeye is a combat fishery. If you have not been a part of a combat fishery before, you need to be there hyper early in the morning. You need to do your research on the boat ramps where you're going to put in. And as well, you need to be dialed in by watching this video right here. And I will show you exactly how to set up so you guys can be successful on the water if you've never been up there before. But if you have been up there before, I'm going to show you a few of my tips and tricks that gets me out there and am very successful every time I go out. Now, first things first, we're going to talk about the rod here. And we're just going to run a sliding weight setup. It's super simple, super easy. I always rock the VIP line locks for absolutely everything that I do when it comes to Springer, salmon, and anything that I'm going to be using a sliding weight system for. That's just simply because VIP honed in on the fact that we will be using bead chains like these Brad's Killer Fishing bead chains I have right here in front of me. And what this slider is going to do, it's going to simply lock into the bead chain. I'll show you what that's going to do right now. We're just going to grab one of these bead chains out, guys, and we're just going to simply tie it on our line just like so. We're going to grab it, and I always do a fisherman's knot, just 8 wraps and pull through. I get so many comments about people. I stopped watching the video as soon as I saw you do a fisherman's knot on braid. Well, that's perfectly a-okay. You can click off the video if you're not a big fan of the fisherman's knot, but I've never ever had one slip on me ever. Not with mono, not with braid, and not with fluorocarbon. So I'm going to continue tying this knot. Super simple, super easy. You do not need to overcomplicate your guys' knots. But anyways, the VIP line lock in action. There is a slit right here like I've showed so many times before. It simply slides into that eye right there and locks that bead chain in place. That bead chain is not going anywhere. See, it's spinning. This top one's not moving at all, but the bead chain itself is actually spinning when your lures and stuff are working in the water. That's just going to prevent a ton of line twist, and a lot of people use this while they're 360 fishing, and I adopted the exact same method myself. So this is a very, very, very good and effective way to get out and make sure that you guys stay fishing a lot longer. Now, enough of the VIP line locks. Let's get into exactly how to set up and fish for sockeye salmon. All right, guys. So the next thing that you're going to need after you tie your VIP line lock and your bead chain on is a bumper. This is a 150-pound, 24-inch spring Chinook 360 bumper, and I'm going to utilize this on my setup here today. Now, you do not have to go this big with your bumper. You can simply grab some 30-pound P-line right here. It's a fluorocarbon. It's thick enough and sturdy enough to be a good bumper for sockeye salmon. I personally just like the pre-tied bumpers. I know 100% it's 150 to 200 pounds, and I know that if I do get snagged up, I will most likely never lose my flasher unless my main line breaks. If my main line doesn't break, I am not going to lose my flasher and I will be able to recover my gear. That should never happen in this sockeye fishery because we are not going to be fishing extremely deep. We'll go into how fish we're going to be fishing, how deep we're going to be fishing here in just a little bit. But let's go ahead and attach our bumper to our bead chain like so. And now a lot of people are also going to say 24 inches is way too long. I do agree for sockeye, you do not need a 24-inch bumper. But hey, we're going to run 24 for video purposes here today. You could definitely run anywhere from 12 to 24. I'm going to stick with my 24 because that's been my tried and true throughout time. And so I'm not going to adjust for sockeye. It's not going to be that complex to go out there and net a fish with a 24-inch bumper. Okay. Next thing we have, guys, we have our flashers, our dodgers. There is an array. There's a Max Lure Double D. There's Lure Jensen's dodgers just like this. I like the Shasta Tackle sling blades for sockeye. It's that exact same action you get for kokanee fishing. And sockeye and kokanee are literally one and the same except for an ocean run. And so I really do like these Shasta blade sling blades right here. And you can obviously tune them. If you want it to whip a little harder, give it a little bit more of a bend. You want to make it a little bit more subtle, flatten it back out just like that. And if you want to learn what these actual blades look like under the water, I did make an underwater kokanee video for these. And you guys should go check that out. It's on the channel. So it's informative if you like that kind of thing. But we're just going to simply grab our dodger like so. And we're going to attach it to our bumper. Okay, so this is the actual main meat and potatoes setup before we start talking about actual lures and what it's going to look like in a few different variations of lures that we're going to be fishing with out there on the Brewster Pool. So let's talk about weight for just 1 second. A ton of these fish, aka like 200,000 fish in the Brewster Pool, are all going to be stacked up from the top 10 feet down to about 30 feet of the water system. These fish are a lot like kokanee. Yes, it is warm, but yes, it is also a river system. It is flowing, and they are waiting for that optimal water temperature in the Okanagan River to travel up and go spawn. And so when you're out there on the actual water, you want to keep your lines, because it is a combat fishery, tight to your boat. So I would recommend 4 ounces or 5 ounces of lead. You could even go up to 6 ounces. And I would roughly run about 25 to 30 feet on the line counter so you can get down there in the 15 to 20 foot range. Obviously, if you're using a graph in your boat, like a Humminbird, or a Garmin or something along those lines, you can go ahead and just graph your fish, and then you can adjust with your line counter reel and your weight and your depth chart right down to put those setups right in front of those fish's face. Now, let's get into the actual setups, guys, of how you're going to go out there and ultimately get these fish to bite your setups. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so first things first, let's talk about the leader before we get into the actual setup. I like to run a 15-pound P-line fluorocarbon, and it's a sturdy, sinking-esque line that's going to actually give a little bit, it's also a little bit stiffer of a line, so it's going to give those whips and those twirls behind your actual setup itself just a lot more action in the water. It's a very strong line as well. I understand that there are Chinook salmon in Brewster Pool, and yes, there is a possibility of you getting hooked up into one of those Chinook salmon while you are sockeye fishing. The thing is, this year, if you do get a Chinook hooked up in 2024, there are no Chinook salmon fishing regulations, and they have actually closed Brewster Pool to Chinook salmon fishing. And so really a 15-pound fluorocarbon is all you're going to need. If you do want to be able to end up fighting that fish confidently, which I'm pretty confident on 15-pound with a spring Chinook that's traveled that far up the river, probably not going to be a 20, 30-pounder, but if you do want to up your line, you could go with a 20-pound fluorocarbon or even a 25, which I do think 25 is a little bit overkill for what we are going to try to achieve out there on the Brewster Pool. So let's get rid of our leader for now, and then we're going to talk about our hook setup. These are size 1 hooks. Yes, they're size 1s. I do use these size 1s as my stinger hooks for spring Chinook fishing. I love a small little Big River bait hook by Gamakatsu, and they actually pin right in the side of the mouth of the spring Chinook that I fish for. So I ultimately always go with 2 of these when I'm talking sockeye salmon fishing. Now, they are tied up into a double non-slip mooching rig. If you want to learn how to tie up this non-slip mooching rig, go over to the channel, look up how to tie up a non-slip mooching rig, and you will find a very in-depth guide on exactly how to tie up this setup. It's called a non-slip because it's not actually sliding up and down the line, which makes it a very effective way to fish for Chinook salmon, sockeye salmon, and any kind of mooching rig, even steelhead if you're plunking from the bank with spinning glows. And I also use these for kokanee. So it's a very versatile, universal style knot set up for your 2 hooks, and it works very well. Now, we're going to talk about this 15-pound fluorocarbon right here in the leader length. Obviously, this is very long. This is for a video purposes leader length right here, and we'll cut it down so you guys can see the actual setup. But when I'm looking at leader lengths on camera, it never really translates into what it looks like in real life. So, just like kokanee, sockeye are a very similar-esque type fish, if not only the ocean run. And so we are only going to run anywhere from a 10 to 15, maybe even a 16-inch leader. Now, you can find a sweet spot right in the middle, and you can tie them up all that way, and you can be very successful. I like to tie up a couple shorter ones. If I'm just going to run a solo hoochie, and I'm not going to run anything with any action, I'll throw on like a 12. You know, maybe a 10 to 12 inch leader, like so. But if I'm going to run a spinner, maybe I'll go up to 16 because the lure, as well as the dodger, has action, and that little bit of space is going to give it that perfect amount of rotation, whip, as well as when that blade's spinning in the water. So I like to run a little bit shorter if I'm running a solo hoochie, like this little pink one right here. Or if I'm running a blade, like this little 3.0 blade, then I like to run a little bit longer leader. Okay. Now, let's get into setting up just one of these setups that I love to run for sockeye salmon. Now, when you're going to pick a setup in a bead choice selection, like this one right here, or even like this one right here, or a hoochie like my Walking on Water hybrid hoochie that I'm going to kill sockeye salmon with this year on Brewster Pool, pinks and reds are absolutely king for sockeye salmon. And yes, greens and chartreuses can very well work as well. Greens and chartreuse can work very well as well, guys. And so I am a pink and red guy early morning. Maybe when the sun comes out, I'll transition into a little bit greener S type bait. But we're going to talk about mainly pinks and reds here today. So we're going to grab our hoochie like so. And I'm just going to place some beads on the line super fast and super easy. I'm just going to run a couple beads down the line. So if you guys are enjoying these videos at all, or you just like the content, share it out to your friends and family, like the video, as well as just leave a comment, guys. Anything you guys want to see, anything. I got a lot of trips and stuff planned for this year, and we got a lot of trips actually coming up. We've had a little bit of a lull period here, but we have a lot of stuff coming up. We're going to be posting one good quality video a week, guys, from here on out until the fall, and then we might ramp it back up again. But until then, we have a lot of exciting things coming, as well as go over to the private fishing Facebook group, Walking on Water Fishing, become a member of that, talk to me there, interact with the community, and go over and smash the Walking on Water business page. Okay, guys, so with our hoochie right here, we're going to just pull the skirt back like so after we got our beads on. And then we're going to find that little hole. Okay, and then once you got it on, just thread it on down to your hooks like so. Now, this is a Walking on Water hybrid hoochie. We have 3 new combinations of hoochies coming out here in the next week. So if you want to check those out, I will leave a link to the my Shopify in the video description, as well as right down here at the bottom of the screen. But we have a couple new products that I want to introduce to you guys that we're going to throw above this right now. So this is a pink hoochie. Like I said, pink and red is absolutely king up at Brewster Pool. And so we're going to grab a 6mm pink bead just like so. And then we're going to grab a little white Oregon tackle clevis just like that one right there. And we are going to throw that on the line, and we're going to slide it all down. Now, the new few products that we have coming to Walking on Water, I'm very excited about. Sockeye season is right around the corner. I've done a lot of kokanee fishing this year, and so let's show you a couple new products that are coming to the Walking on Water shop today, right now. Limited stock of them, so if you guys want some for this year's sockeye season, look at this link down here or type it into Google and go check them out. So, first things first, we have the 3.0 sockeye blades. Okay, these are Walking on Water custom, made by Hook Me Up Lures, and these will be for sale in the Shopify shop today, as well as these two amazing colors as well. So if you guys are interested in any of these Sockeye 3.0 blades that will absolutely dominate Sockeye and set you apart in Brewster Pool, go ahead, type in that link below, walkingonwater.us/ and go get you some. As well as we will have a whole array of kokanee blades on there today as well if you guys are interested in the kokanee S-type blades. So we are going to pick up our chartreuse in pink, and we are going to simply just put it on the Oregon tackle clevis just like that. And there you have our first setup. We have a Walking on Water hybrid hoochie, as well as a 3.0 blade, just like this one right here, guys. And this is going to absolutely smack sockeye salmon up at the Brewster Pool. Now that we have this one variation of setup, the hoochie, here's another variation. Super simple, super easy. Is just simply the hoochie itself. No spinner blade, nothing. Just simply a Walking on Water hybrid hoochie. I would run about a 10-inch leader with this setup right here. It's super simple and it's very actually easy to set up, obviously. And now let's move on to the third and final setup that's going to get you guys out there and be hyper successful on the water, guys. So we're going to pull all of this stuff off just like that. And then we are going to simply just grab a pink bead. We're going to put it down on the line like so. I like to run 6 mils and I like to run 5 mil beads, guys. So there's one 6 mil. Then I'm going to grab a red bead just like that. This is a 5 mil bead. And I'm going to run it down just like that. Then I'm going to find me another 6 mil pink bead. And I'm going to put it down the line just like so. And then if you can't tell the pattern here, we're simply just alternating bead sizes and bead colors for these sockeye salmon, just like that. And then we're going to take one final little red bead and we're going to double stack it right there at the top, just like so. So we have 5 beads and we have red and pink down our line, okay? And it's also tied up with that non-slip mooching rig, just like that. Now, a very easy, cheap, effective, hyper effective is a Moon Jelly Mac Lure 1.5 Smiley blade, and this thing will absolutely smack, okay? Just like so, we have our setup on our line, our little Smiley blade spinner, just like this. And now, guys, I do have a bunch of coon shrimp here. I'm not going to pull them out exactly. I'm going to tell you exactly how to set them up, okay? How we're going to do our coon shrimp, you want to buy whatever brand, Millennials, Looney Coonies, Columbia River Basin Baits. All of those different brands will suffice a good coon shrimp, whether or not you're curing them up yourself or you're choosing to buy them. But when you are opening your jar of coon shrimp, you're going to open it up, you're going to inspect. You're not going to grab the big guys. You want to grab the little guys, rip its tail off. You're looking for the top hook right here, grab the tail, slide it on the top hook, and then you're fishing for sockeye salmon. This is one variation of the spinner that's absolutely going to crush, is the Moon Jelly Mac Lure red and pink spinner. Then we're going to grab our Walking on Water blade right here that's available in the Shopify shop if you didn't already hear that, and we're going to slide it on the line. Okay, just grab that Oregon tackle clevis, grab your line, slide it up and through, and now you have a 3.0 spinner, Walking on Water spinner, just like this one right here, with our little piece of coon shrimp right on the hook that will absolutely destroy sockeye salmon on the Columbia River inside of Brewster Pool. A lot of these sockeye guys, they will be there mid-July to early August. But the thing about these sockeye is they're only going to be there for so long. Once that temperature in the Okanagan River becomes absolutely prime time for those fish to move, they're going to be gone in a snap of a finger. So I'm telling you right now, pick up some of these blades, go pick up some beads, tie up these setups, go out there and put them to work on Brewster Pool, and you will fill your bellies with a bunch of amazing tasting sockeye salmon. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Walking on Water. It was my pleasure to bring you guys exactly how I go out and actively target sockeye salmon on the Columbia River inside of Brewster Pool. I'll catch you in the next one.